Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Good Mzansi. We have a very special guest with us today. This is a man that I greatly admire. A few years ago, many years ago, in fact, almost 10 years ago now, I was driving in my car listening to this most amazing interview with the then Reddy Dereko. She's now Reddy Clubby. And she was talking to this man about where he'd been in his life and how he got there. And it was literally an interview that had me in tears. And I'm very blessed today to be joined by none other than Mr. Herman Mashaba. How are you doing, sir?
Great. Thank you so much, Jarett. And I'm really so pleased that I've made a difference in your life. Like I've also, growing up, I was inspired by millions of people all over the world. So really honored and thank you very much. I'm humbled.
Thank you. Yeah, listen, your story really did speak to me and it shifted my entire thinking. I think it actually put my whole life on a new trajectory. I think let's actually get into that, Herman. Just tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you came from and that sort of stuff.
Well, I hope it's not going to be boring to South Africans because I've shared this in South Africa and the world. You know, Jarett, I've been really fortunate, more especially the last 15 odd years or so, being invited mainly by universities in South Africa and literally all over the world. So I've shared my life, including a few years ago, inspired by a lady called Moki Makura, who now lives in South Africa, Nigerian born, raised in the UK. And one day I approached Mrs. Herman after interviewing me, says, please, you need to capture this, what you've just really told me in the book, because your life needs to really be shared. So I've shared my life so many times. But in any way, born and raised in a small village called Haramutz in Amaskral, just opposite that Babelech industrial area. At the time, there was no Babelech at the time. That area used to be the farming area for the community of Ramutzi during the summer period. Unfortunately, losing my father at the age of 2. So for me, calling someone dead is completely foreign to me. But I was lucky that my grandfather, my father's father, was there, who used to work as a security guard for the municipality of Garankuwa, used to come home every month. And I meant so much to this old man from as far as Becca can remember. He's always inspired me to be independent and wanting me to really succeed in life, asking me to make sure that I give people an opportunity and a chance. But one thing that he taught me was that, Herman, trust people what they do, not what they say. But give them a chance to listen to them. But ultimately, you listen to what you believe what they say, because it says, in my personal experience is that I've been let down so many times by being naive. You trust what people tell you, but they go and do something different. And it's always said to me, if someone actually misrepresent themselves to you, never trust that person again, if the person has done that deliberately. But when people actually make mistakes, because life is not perfect, we need to correct it. Says those are the people you need to work with. Those who want to change their lives and change their community and whatever, they keep trying. Says those people are going to make mistakes, and lots of mistakes. As long as they make more good things than mistakes, it says those are the people you need to surround yourself with, and those are the people you need to work with.
Amazing. You had to do quite a lot of hustling, right, when you were younger, to like sort of get yourself through school and all that kind of stuff. Can you just give us a little bit of insight there? I mean, there's some really stories.
Is it not embarrassing? It's in my book. I remember many years ago we were on holiday in Bled when I was busy with Moki writing this book. So I showed on holiday in December. I shared the manuscripts for the first time with my wife, and she read. And one evening comes to me, says, so, is it necessary for you to share this? I said, what do you mean necessary? I said, it's more than necessary. This is my life. I wasn't doing this being a gambler, smoking at the early stage of my life with the boys and so forth, and womanizing. I said, I didn't do this because I was a criminal. It was it was an environment of the time. That is why I think it's important not to hide these things from future generations, and the reason why I feel so strongly about sharing these things with future generations, because if we don't, then people keep making the same type of mistakes. So you can imagine, brought up without the father, brought up without literally my mother around, because when I woke up into this world, my mother was a domestic worker here in Sandton. Used to come home at least once a month if I was lucky. I was literally brought up in a child-headed household with my sister, who was 13 years my senior. I grew up in that kind of environment. So you can imagine the chances of youth making mistakes when they don't have parental guidance and supervision. So I think for me, I'm passionate about actually sharing this, because definitely I don't call this a dark side of my life, because it was never a dark side. It was the life that I lived because of circumstances. And it's really so crucial, so important to ensure that others should not really fall into that trap, because majority of my peers, people I grew up with, unfortunately, they became victims. I was just really one of the lucky few that managed to beat the system.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to be able to share these things, Herman, because there are so many people out there that feel hopeless. They feel hopeless. They feel like they are in a situation that they'll never get out of. They feel like their lives lack value and purpose, and that they are victims to this terrible system that led them to live like that. And I think it's so important for us to be able to just inspire hope in the youth and inspire our country right now, because people need it more than most. People are struggling. They are starving. They want to be more. They want to be regarded as equal in society. So I think it's so crucial that we share this messaging.
Absolutely. I think, Jarett, more especially with the organization that you represent, of real great South Africans that can make such a huge difference in this country. People are saying some of them left and some came back. But at the end of the day, it is so depressing. But people are saying, no, we are staying. I think these are some of the people that actually inspires me, because let me tell you something, Jarett. When I accepted being the DA mayoral candidate, I realized I had no option. So I approached my family, because I never thought one day I'll become a public servant. I'm a full-blown capitalist. I love the capitalist system, because the freedom that I enjoy today is because of being independent, to really to use my God-given talents and to really make me the success in my wealth of what I am today. Yeah. And the people who normally leave South Africa are the type of skills that we need really so badly. But at the same time, you look at the negativity that comes out every day. It's sometimes saying to yourself, do I stay? That's when DA approached me. I said to my family, I said, guys, we've got two options. It's either you allow me to go and try and save this country, because I also have that responsibility with our privileged position over the last over 30 years. I said, we've really lived a privileged life as Black South Africans, so we cannot deny that. As much as I grew up under the deplorable conditions, but the last 30 years, when I took a decision in 1982 to go into business, that's when my life completely changed, and I became really privileged, and I regard myself privileged from 1982. Yeah. But do we leave the country, or do you allow me? Fortunately enough, my wife and my kids said, look, you know what, we love this country, we're not going anywhere. We are prepared to go and try. If you fail, at least you'd have failed trying like you've always done. They know me. My grandfather taught me at the early stage of my life to do everything all the time. When your situation is not right, find ways to change it. Don't just really give up. And that's what I'm trying. Am I going to succeed? I can only know the results after time. But one thing for sure, I'm not really going to give up. And I'm really inspired by what you and your group are doing, because without that skill, without such a resource, there's just no way that this country can survive by just bodies. South Africa or any country in the world is not just looking for bodies. Country is looking for talent, and the reach of people I've met who have left this country people who intend living with the skill. Every time I meet them and I engage them, it hurts me. And I understand them. I don't really blame them. If sometimes you feel you are hopeless. But one thing for sure, with the People's Dialogue that my family sponsored, launched on the 6th of December, and you read that report, which I can't wait to release it so that it becomes a public document. It's really so inspiring. South Africans are enthusiastic about this country. They're aware of the challenges. But one thing for sure, this country still carries the hope of millions of people, not just in South Africa, in the continent and the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just getting back to your, I mean, the start of your business, right? In 1982, I mean, that's when you launched Black Like Me, correct? Was it a little bit later on from there? Was it?
No. What I did in 1982, in fact, let me give you back a little bit so that you have the context.
Please.
I went to university in 1979, Teflo, University of the North. Mm-hmm. In 1982, in my second year of my studies, one morning the university was surrounded by the police, and we were given 12 hours to leave. No, 6 hours, because it was just before 6 o'clock. They said by 12 o'clock, no one must be in the university. And I remember that day I did not even have a cent, to go back to Amanskell. I mean, it's 300 kilometers away, and those days transport was a huge challenge. So that became the end of my my educational dream. So when I got home, while we were at home, I was committed to leave the country to go for military training. I was angry at the time to say, look, it can't just really be like this. I don't want to really live with this type of life. Let me rather go out and contribute in assisting to topple the apartheid government. And I look at it in reflection. God said to me, you're not going there. And never had a reliable contact that could get me out of the country. And then I ended up late in the 80s, a few months after university was open. Now I'm at home, I'm not doing anything, assisting the Form 5 students from time to time, going to different schools with some of the colleagues. But that was not just satisfying, and I had no money. So that's why I was lucky. One brother-in-law got me a job with Spar Pretoria, distributing products to Spar shops around the Northern Province. And I was a dispatched clerk. I worked for them for 7 months, worked for Motani for 23 months. And now, all of a sudden, I realized I'm 22, I'm running out of time. Chances of leaving the country are no longer there. And I said, no, I've got to do something. And one option I thought was to really go into business. The apartheid government said, no, you can't go into business. You're a black person. Blacks are not allowed to go into business in South Africa. With no business experience, with no resources, I said, I'm going to do it anyway. No, honestly, I said, I had nothing to lose. And I said, I'm not going to let the apartheid government waste my life. I said, I'm not really prepared. And for some reason, another wisdom that God gave me was to stabilize my life before going into business. Going to business, I realized the opportunity to be a salesman, the door-to-door salesman. But to be a door-to-door salesman, you needed a car. So before buying a car, I realized it'll be dangerous if my life is not stable. So I decided to really get married. 3rd of March 1982, legally got married. That's why I'm really so eternally grateful to my wife. 3rd of March this year, we celebrated 38 years of our marriage, stability, huge success by our standard. We take my family to really be privileged. So started selling. The first thing I tried was to sell insurance, tried linen, dinner services, fire detection system. And then in 1983, came across a company in Malvern in Johannesburg called The World of Hair. They had a brand called Supercare, selling hair care products, PEM lotions and so forth to the black market. Worked for this company for 19 months on a commission basis. That's when Jarett started making money. You can imagine those days as a commission salesman, I was making 3,500-4,000 rands a month. I'm telling you, I was earning double the salary of senior white people working full time for this company. It was great. But then the market was exploding. And I said to myself during that time, I said, no, I'm not going to do this for Leon Thompson. Leon Thompson was the owner of this business, and I'm not going to do this for Leon Thompson. This industry is there forever. Put together like-minded South Africans, including a great South African, Johan Kriel, who was the production manager in this company. We took a chance, Joseph and I. Joseph was one of my colleagues working on a commission basis. I said, let's talk to this white guy, convinced him, because we knew we were earning more than double his salary. Said, Johan, you can make this product. You're working for someone. You know, the two of us, I was the top salesman by far in the company. I said, Johan, the market is exploding. We believe you're an entrepreneur. Johan said, where will you get the funds? We said, leave it to us. Approached the guy, unbelievable human being called Walter Dube in Mabopane. Walter's wife used to be to my client. They had a shopping center and had a hairdressing salon. So one day I took advantage and said, Mrs. Dube, can you introduce me to your husband? There is an explosion of an opportunity. Everything else is history now. Walter and Uncle Ned gave us the 30,000 rands to start Black Alchemy. We conceived the idea in 1984. January of 1985, we started. Everything else is history.
Amazing. What an amazing story.
So that you've got a context.
What, you know what? Can I tell you the message I got from that? Behind every successful man is a more successful woman.
Well, honestly, I was really very lucky. That is why I do everything possible. Anytime I upset my wife, I kneel down to her, because I know without her, honestly, I'm nothing. The risk is too high for me to lose my wife. Will I make it? I'd rather, kneel down to her, because she has proven beyond any reasonable doubt. I met her when I was at university, when both of us had nothing. In fact, she came from a much better background than me. So she used to literally support me, but she gave me unconditional love. She always claimed to have seen potential in me. That's why she could stick around with this poor person.
It just speaks to how important it is to have healthy relationships in your life, because it's those healthy relationships and people that see you for who you really are and only want the best for you that help you to achieve your goals, because nobody can achieve their goals really on their own and in isolation. We always need to have people that are there to support us in some way or another. So it's amazing that you had that relationship.
Jarett, I'm fortunate enough. I'm a big reader, and I always read books about other people. Over the last, ever since I left university, reading has always been part and parcel of my makeup. So I read a lot, but I mainly read books about other people. And if you look at reading books of successful people, they come from good families. Family structure, it's crucial. Without a community having families, there's just no way that you can have a community. So, and that's something that apartheid government disrupted our structures in the past. But however, I'm even more concerned that the current ANC government has destroyed black family structures much worse than the apartheid government did. Honestly, as you can get any professor or any academic, let them do a study of how the apartheid government disrupted our family structures. And you do a 26-year study of how the ANC actually took what the apartheid government did, took it to another level in the disruption of communities. So as long as we're not going to actually build strong families, because strong families build strong communities. Strong communities they build strong countries. So at the moment, as a country, as South Africa, we're very vulnerable because we don't have stable family structures. That's why we've opened our borders, allowed drugs, because drugs is really one of those evils that actually destroy communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, the message that I'm getting there is how important communities are. And I think that's one thing that's happened in South Africa is that we become very isolated. Even though we, in some places everybody lives on top of each other, there's a lot of isolation. There's, you don't have that same sense of community that you would have had even during the apartheid era, or even during the process leading up to where we are now, where you had, we have villages raising children. Now you've got people that are completely independent, and there's no cohesion. And without cohesion in a civil society, we can have no success. It's so important that we work together as a community within our smaller communities, but the community at large within South Africa, so that we can start to progress our country forward and start to really impact lives and change the country for what it needs to be.
Absolutely, and that is why I'm inspired by what your group is doing, because I think you guys, I don't know how serious you take this, and realize how powerful I'm staying is actually, because it's actually creating a common bond among South Africans, black and white, because it's not a white or black organization. It's an organization of South Africans having a common goal to really contribute to this country. So I think, and I hope that your members should not obviously look at this simplistically. They might not obviously see the results of today, but one thing for sure is that their contribution is massive, because the building of society needs to create a common interest, common values, and so forth. And that's really what your organization is doing. And I'm inspired by this, and I really wish and pray that you succeed in your mission.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, we take it very seriously. I think when we launched #I'mStaying was at a very vulnerable time in South Africa. It was a time of great concern for us, and I think people didn't have a platform to speak, and we gave them that platform. So we understand the value of what it is, and we hope to grow it. And more importantly, we hope to build and strengthen our alliances with people that have got the same vision in terms of helping to make things better. And I think that's what I really love about you, Herman, is that you've got this deep desire to help, to want to help South Africa and South Africans. And on top of that, you've got a successful track record of helping and assisting people. Tell me how your plans are to sort of translate that into something greater. I mean, I know the People's Dialogue is going to be heavily focused in Johannesburg. I mean, I would imagine that you've taken that stance because it's where you've had great success, and you've got a decent constituency there.
In fact, Jarett, look, when we launched the political party, the plan so far is to launch in June, but now with this lockdown, things are completely outside our control. As you are aware, the actual report, which fortunate enough, I'm really proud of this report, that is going to, without any doubt, shade of doubt, it is going to really become an academic document for universities, not just in South Africa, all over the world. I think the work that we did, and I'm really proud that my family put in money to contribute to the historic part of this country, and worked with the great team of South Africans putting something like this together. What it does demonstrate is the need for an alternative, for a political party that can unapologetically promote non-racialism. I mean, that has to really be the starting point. We come from a very difficult, painful past, but one thing for sure is that we can't reverse the past, but we can shape the future. South Africans, this matter is so crucial. That's why when Mandela, Desmond Tutu came out with this Rainbow Nation, all of us went behind them, excited. Not just South Africa, the world. We became the envy of the world. Unfortunately, then we had the current government that actually destroyed that dream of Mandela. So this is one of the themes that came out of this. People of South Africa generally are looking for social justice. The social justice means, I think we can't really be the laughingstock of being the most unequal society in the world. You cannot. Yeah, now South Africans majority are committed to ensure that we build a very strong middle class. We must allow this, as you are aware, I've said many times that I'm an unapologetic capitalist. But capitalism, it's a system that helps other people. Because as a capitalist, like I've been over the last 34, 35 years, successful, it has given me and my family opportunities to contribute to society, because we were lucky literally from day one to make more money than what our family could consume. And I've had a family that always supported me to go and help other people. So I had more than 35 years of helping other people with excess money that I make. And what obviously I think one has to be careful. I look at what they call themselves communist and socialist. You look at what they've done. The only thing that they've done is to steal from people, is to murder people. If you're looking at mass murderers, if you want to read the stories about mass murderers, I can tell you communists and socialists were the biggest. No one would come anywhere near such a system. So that's why I so deeply hate that system, because the people behind the leadership of such organizations are for themselves, and anyone who's against them, they take them out. So that's why I hate that system. And South Africans are against the communist and socialist system, and I'm really quite pleased about that. So people want to see social justice. People want to see the rule of law. South Africans want to live in a country where they are safe. That if there's a crime or there's someone stealing public money, there's got to really be consequences. And people seeing our criminal justice system, literally, I don't know if it does exist today, you know. And people of South Africa say, no, we need social justice. So, and I'm a very strong believer in the rule of law. Very strong believer. I'm a very strong believer in this. That is why I have said to people of South Africa during the engagement that for me, I remember when our constitution was eventually approved in 1996, coming out with some of the aspects of the constitution. I did an article with an interview with Sunday Times. Remember, I still lived in Pretoria at the time. My interview was also one of the ones published, being a supporter of the death penalty. I'm a really believer in the death penalty for certain crimes. I cannot understand how anyone in a country as poor as South Africa, 54% of our people live below the poverty line. That you must expect me, I must go and support someone, give them accommodation, 3 meals a day. When I'm unable to give millions of our people only 1 meal a day. Someone who rapes, and we've got overwhelming evidence, I can tell you I will never lose a minute's sleep to sign the documents that you've got to take them out. Someone who plans to go and murder someone else. It's not an accident. You planned meticulously that someone must be killed and we must put you in jail. We've got evidence to that effect. Honestly, and these are things that the South Africans agree with. Immigration. South Africa, as you're aware, Jarett, was built at the back of the migrants coming from all over the world. That's how this great country was built. But it can't really be the open borders. The only country in the world that says, no, anyone can come, you don't have to really have papers. You know, South Africans are saying, no, this is unacceptable. South Africans want a party that can encourage talent to come to South Africa, money to come into South Africa. But people must be here legally, and when they're here, they must respect the laws of this country. This gives you some idea. So we've already got a sense of some of the policy directions, what our party will take. Focusing on Gauteng, as I said earlier on, is because of the capacity. Local government elections are almost to come. So to try and go nationally, we can only do that if we can really get someone who can really give us, firstly, give us credible people who are not in this job to come and serve themselves. Sure. People are prepared to serve South Africa. If we can really get anyone coming from whatever municipality and says, look, we have this person, we will do, I can tell you, we'll do our homework on the vetting, it's one of the things that we will do everything possible to make sure that we are not getting people who are here to serve their stomachs and serve political parties. So, but I think it for me, a low-hanging fruit is to begin in Johannesburg for 2021 with local government election. And then it gives us an opportunity to prepare for 2024, where we can then really be national. But as a political party, when we launch, it's going to be a political party with immediate effect with national footprint. We are not going to be a Gauteng-based political. We're going to be a national party. National party, not in the sense of the national party of HFR, national in the sense of geographic. But in terms of competing and succeeding, we believe very strongly that I think it will be wise to start with the 3 metros in the city of Johannesburg, of Gauteng, Tshwane, Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni. But as I say, and I want people to understand, if you're outside Gauteng, you are able to mobilize, you can really convince us beyond any reasonable doubt. We'll do everything possible to assist that municipality. But chances of contesting in all the municipalities, that one definitely, it is not humanly possible.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you've got to go where your strengths lie, and you've got to build from that. You build from a point of reference. So I think that's definitely a very smart strategic move. One of the things I want us to focus on a little bit is the importance of having the citizens of South Africa active participants in terms of trying to make things go forward. Because the one thing that we've seen as a weakness is you've got a small group of people sitting at the top who are trying to solve all the problems, and in reality we can't do that. You also can't resolve the problems from a small entity when all you're doing is talking down. You've got to be able to listen back. That's what I loved about your structure, is the fact that you created a platform for dialogue, for people to be able to talk to you. Because if I really understand what's going on at a ground level, then we can really start to work together in order to fix what those problems are. It's very similar to a company that we've aligned with called Renyaka. You can't just go into a township or a rural area and think you're going to fix it, because you don't understand it. Just because you've got money doesn't mean you're going to fix that situation. Understand the problems first, understand that and then build the support of the community and the trust of the communities, and work together with these communities to make things better and to actually affect positive change. I think that's a strategy we have to focus on, and I really like that sentiment about creating dialogue. So how important is it, in your opinion, that we have people that are actively willing to assist and to work together?
In fact, I think, Jarett, let me first of all, share something with you that is very close to my heart, and it's something that probably I was taught by my grandfather. You must understand, when you work with other human beings, not everybody means well. That's a fact of life. We must not really be naive. But working with other people is crucial, because you can't do anything on your own as an individual. So you've got to make sure that, I think, you surround yourself with well-meaning people that you can trust. And those, obviously, who've got agendas that are not aligned with you, ensure that you get them out of the system as a matter of agency. Because if you allow them, that is when you will kill your business, you will kill your political formation or whatsoever. Because people don't really, some don't actually come into an environment for the right reasons. So for me, in terms of voluntarism, that's why when we launched the People's Dialogue in December 6th last year, with in one of the platforms, we've requested people to, as volunteers. If I'm not wrong, by 2 days or so ago, when I had a meeting with my team through this platform, I think we have something like 24,000 people who are ready to volunteer in whatever capacity. But one thing I can tell you, which is a fact, and it's sad, but it is a fact, that you can understand, some of them don't have good intention. They've got other agendas to come and disrupt us. But we will do our vetting before we assign you to openly associate with us. Before we can give you an assignment to do, we have to really do vetting. And sometimes with vetting, you can still make a mistake with vetting, because you vet the person is good, but people are easily bored. Because one thing for sure is that in the political field, in a country like ours, where people are really desperate just to put bread on the table, people are easily bored. So those are things that we really need to really watch about against. But one thing for sure is that for all of us as South Africans to make this country great again, and really great again, because this country used to really be great. And with massive potential to be one of the shining lights of the world, is that we need to really work together as South Africans. We need to really have a common the goal and wishes. In fact, I remember about 2 weeks or so ago, before the lockdown, I had an interview with one of the publications. They were asking me, what is one thing that would really make me a proud South African? I said, the day when, as a South African, I can see every household in this country hanging a South African flag at their gate. That's a day that I can really then say, you know what, we've got a country. Yeah. Just having that common goal, the objective of saying, you know what, a flag, because a flag of a country, the national anthem of a country, these are things that ordinary people will think they're small, but that is how you build a country. And if that happens, because you go to all the successful nations everywhere in the world, flags are every second house, if not all of the houses. You go to United States, you go to England, you go to Spain, Portugal, you go to Australia and so forth. I think it's really so important the day what I wish if God gives me an opportunity to live the balance of the 20, 30 years of my life, that I can see in my house, in every household, be in Soweto or in Sandton or in KwaMashu in Natal, where people proudly put a South African flag out there all the time, not when we have an event that you go and buy a flag.
Yeah. You know, when you're saying that, it's amazing. We've actually noticed an increase in patriotism on our platform in particularly. People are taking so much pride in that flag. I think for the first time ever, people really have a deep-seated belief in what that flag represents, because that flag represents so much more than just a piece of cloth. That flag represents everything that we are, everything that we were supposed to be, and everything that we were promised. That all resides in that one piece of cloth, you know, with all those colors in it. And I think it's a flag that we truly can be proud of, but we have to work very hard towards making it a reality. And it can no longer just be about discussions. It can no longer just be about this idea of a better and brighter South Africa. It now needs to be put into place. It needs to be put into process. We deserve a better South Africa. We have to work together to make that South Africa happen, and we can only do it as a unified nation.
Absolutely. Jarett, one thing that I would really like to appeal to South Africans, particularly the younger ones your age, not us who are nearer to the grave than the future. Please, my black, white, Indian and colored South Africans, the young people, please don't really be discouraged by people insulting you. Because those who are determined to loot and destroy this country, what they do, they've been trained to insult people. As a black person like me standing up, they will call me a house nigger. For you as a white person, every time you open your mouth, they will call you a racist. If you're an Indian, South African, they will tell you you're an exploiter. If you're a colored person, they'll call you somebody. I think if we can actually, all of us as South Africans, particularly the youth, just ignore this, because the whole idea behind this strategy is to divert so that people still. We are all South Africans. We are a God-created species, because a human being, for you to be white and me be who I am, it's not an accident. Yeah, it's a God creation. Yeah. And anyone who fights against what God created, that person is evil. Yeah. We have to really do everything to really unite us. We have our differences. We have women, we've got men, we've got white, we've got short, we've got whatever. But at the end of the day, we're the creation of God, and we're not a mistake. Anyone who wants to accuse you of being a house nigger, I laugh at them because I know what they're trying to do. Actually, for me, they make me more determined in my approach. And I always appeal to my other South Africans. If they call you a racist and you know you're not a racist, laugh at them. And actually do more and tell them, you know what, you are actually making me more determined to do what I have to do for the future of my children and my grandchildren.
Yeah. You know, when you start to see stuff like that happening, when you start to see the insults and these attacks happening, for me, it sends a very, very, very clear signal. It tells you that whatever you're doing is working. Because if it wasn't working, there would be no need for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So when the attacks start happening, then you just keep pushing, because that's when you know that you're actually starting to make headway.
Yeah, but then my greatest fear, and I think when all of us who are awake to this, let us appraise this, because for an example, Jarett, are you aware almost 19 million South Africans did not go out and vote in the last election? We had more people staying away than the ones who voted. So you can imagine if just 25% of the 19 million people, if they'd gone out to vote, will be having a new government today.
Yeah.
So I think it's because people are too scared to really come out. They looked down upon themselves. They believe as individuals they can't make an impact. They don't realize that actually it starts with you. It starts with your family, it starts with your community, and then ultimately it impacts the world. People are happy to complain and say, look, I've got no power. People don't realize that individual power, because individual power is what ultimately leads to the common goal of everyone.
Yeah. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's not really fear as such, but it's disillusionment. People are disillusioned. They've given up. And the only time you ever fail is when you give up. That's the only time you can fail. You know, even though times get tough and times get hard. I mean, look at Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, look at that man. He went up against Winston Churchill, with some rags and a stick. And but he inspired belief. He inspired people, and we need people that are going to help to inspire people. And it's not going to be done through violence, and it's not going to be done through arms and ammunition, and it's not going to be done through destruction. It's only going to be done through peace and resistance, immovable resistance. You know, that comes from a place of love and passion and understanding, but also fortitude. We must be strong. We must be brave. We must move forward.
Absolutely, and please ask your members not to undermine their individual participation and contribution, because that individual contribution is going to lead to changing the future of this country for future generations.
Stunning. Herman, if you can leave our members and the country with a message, what is it today?
Look, at the moment, we're all under the quarantine. I've been home, just over 2 weeks, close to 3 weeks. I've only left once going to the pharmacy. I'd run out of my medication. What I do, keep myself busy by reading, following the news from time to time, watch the documentaries, but to a large extent, just spend more time reading. I'm using this platform to engage with our people. I think keep yourself busy, find ways to keep your mind functioning. Unfortunately, we cannot really take chances with this coronavirus. I think it is real, and I think we must avoid a situation where we must lose more people out of it. But at the same time, as South Africans, we need to really focus on how are we going to rebuild this economy, because the economy of South Africa was on the verge of collapse before the coronavirus, and now this has exacerbated the situation. So for us, whether it is going to be lifted in a month or two, I can tell you the economic impact is going to be massive. The likelihood of more South Africans being out of work than those who are working are very, very high. So we're going to come out here with a very, very difficult situation. But I think the only way we can change this is to remain positive. Please look after resources that you've got, the little money that you've got, please look after it. don't really use it for things that you can really postpone, because we don't know how long this is going to take. And even as indicated, even beyond the coronavirus, South Africa is going to go through a difficult economic period. Yeah. But the main focus is to ensure that we bring in a new political dispensation in the country, a political government that is going to be sensitive, that is going to be accountable to all of us as South Africans, and we must hold them accountable. So what I'm saying is that next time come around for us to go and vote, I think if all South Africans go out and vote, and for me, I don't care who they vote for, as long as they don't vote for people who have already voted, who have already failed us and failed us this month.
Mm. Powerful message. Herman Mashaba, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I wish you nothing but the best, and blessings to you. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, and also really proud of what you guys are doing for my children and my grandchildren. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Take care.